Ryan. Okay, can everyone see my screen?
Yep.
Thumbs
Yeah.
up, the universal sign that you're the top of the food chain. Okay, all right. So, like I said, I got this under 15 minutes, but I'm going to go rather quickly. I expect questions. If you have questions, that's my number. Totally feel free to text me. And I loved answering the questions. I'm a nerd about this stuff. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk you through how to solve this managing your time problem. And I'm going to help you to solve it like a rocket scientist would solve it. Thumbs up. Everyone understand?
Yes, we're excited.
Okay. So, the three C's, some of you have seen this before, of problem solving like a rocket scientist. First, we need to comprehend, we need to create, and we need to commit. And so I'm going to assume that everybody has already gone through the course that I haven't even made yet. So you've retroactively gone through the course. And I'm going to show you what a rocket scientist would use these three C's to solve the problem of time, which, by the way, I have this problem repeatedly of managing my time, so it seems like once I fix it, it's not a one-time fix. Okay, so I often have to go through this problem-solving process. Okay, first we need to comprehend. So Einstein one time said, if I had to solve a problem and you only gave me an hour to do it, I would spend 55 minutes understanding the problem. Then I would have plenty of time to solve the problem. There is an important part in understanding and comprehending. Okay, so now we need to understand for our problem, what is wrong with our time? What is our time going to? Where are we putting our time? And to do that, we need to keep track of your time. You need to actually comprehend what is happening to my time. How efficient am I being with my time? You need to collect data. Rocket scientists do this all the time. They have to comprehend the problem before they apply a solution. Otherwise, they apply a wrong solution, and then you're just guessing and checking. And that is not what rocket scientists do. Rocket scientists solve the problem by understanding it first. Okay, so I would keep track of your time. I just did this about a month ago. For 2 weeks, I kept track of my time, right? I was solving my problem of I need to manage my time better. And it was revealing. Often, what happens when you do this is you keep track of your time. You will often find an hour or two going towards something that is not one of your goals. And then the solution is simple. Just take that out. And then you get some extra time. So there's apps out there that do this for you. You can even just do it with paper, just write down 1 hour eating, 2 hours work, and so on and so forth, 8 hours sleeping, and trying to keep track of your time as best as you can. So good. So that's the first C, comprehend. Everyone thumbs up that you understand the first C. Fantastic. Now there's create. This is the longer one. Okay, so let's say you have comprehended the problem. You know where your time is going, and you still don't see where the time can be fixed. You don't see a fix to the problem. Now you need to go to the create step. Okay, time cannot be created, but it can be bent. So from the laws of creation, we can apply the following. And if you're a rocket scientist level problem solver, you'd be able to do this on your own. But you would take the law of faith, momentum, sacrifice, obedience, and consistency. And from these, you would apply them by setting goals, visualizing, prioritizing, and organizing. We're going to go through each of these. So first, you set goals. Can you start building a pyramid with the top? No. You have to.
Really small pyramid.
It'd be a small pyramid. And it'd be floating in space. Maybe for Kyle, it can work. No, you need to build it up from the base. It needs to have a foundation. A goal is unstable if it's not built on plans. And so you need to break it down. You need to break it down into smaller and smaller pieces, like the bricks on a pyramid. So you start with a goal, and then you need to break that down into, okay, what do I need to accomplish every year to accomplish that goal? And then you need to say, okay, well, now what do I need to do every month to accomplish that goal? and then break that down to a daily plan. Okay, so you want to break it down to as small as you can go, to something you can do every day that will lead to that goal. And this takes advantage of the law of consistency. The law of consistency says that anything you do, small and simple, will amount to something great. And it turns out that that is the only way to amount to something great, is by small and simple things. So you need to break it down to daily things. This is a screenshot, literally from my phone on the app that I use to keep track of my goals. So, for example, here's my intellectual goal. I have many, but this is just one. Get a PhD is my top of my pyramid. So I had to break that down. So I had to pass qualifying exams, which I did. So congrats to me. I need to defend a research design. I need to defend a prospectus, and I need to defend my dissertation. So those are more yearly plans. Then I had to break those down into smaller and smaller pieces. So for like passing my qualifying exams, I had to study 2 hours every day. So I broke that down to a day. You want to break it down to as small as you can go. Some of these, if you'll notice, are not breaking down to a day. And for example, under defend prospectus, I need to finish my research objectives every week. And that one is broken down as small as it can go because some things take longer than a day to accomplish. And so that's practical. Just do that every week. I just want to finish that goal every week. Same with under defend dissertation, right at the bottom, it says talk to my committee once a month. That one is because my committee consists of other professors, and I just didn't want it to annoy them by talking to them every day. So once a month is good, and that will keep me on my track to defend my dissertation and accomplish that goal. This making sense to everybody? Universal sign, you're the top of the food chain? Fantastic. Then we need to visualize. Okay, this takes advantage of the law of momentum. Okay, so dominoes, right on the picture on the left, are fascinating. If you have a domino and it tips over, it can tip over a domino double the size of it. Anything that has mass has momentum. And if it collides with something, it can cause something else to move, just like dominoes do. Your thoughts have mass. Therefore, they have momentum. And they can have positive or negative momentum. So if you have positive thoughts, they have momentum, and they can move to make physical things happen in your day. So you need to visualize your day. I do this every morning. I will visualize my day on my plans, on the things I want to accomplish. And this helps me to get that positive momentum going to accomplish what I want my day to look like. And of course, this is what Penny teaches us too. She wants us to be visualizing and fixing what's inside of our head and reprogramming our brain so that we have these positive thoughts, so that we're building that momentum. Then we need to prioritize. I don't know if any of you have done this experiment where if you have sand, pebbles, and rocks, and if you put sand in a jar first, and then the pebbles, and then the rocks, it won't fit. But if you put in the rocks, then the pebbles, and then the sand, it all fits. This is a practice in priorities, okay? We need to put the rocks in first, then the pebbles, and then the sand. Meaning we need to put in the most important things first, then the less important things, and then the least important things. Okay, and that way we can fit everything in our day. If we do what we want, if we just willy-nilly say, oh, I'm interested in that, I'd rather do that right now, turns out that that might be putting the sand in first, and we won't fit everything in our day. It's crazy how this actually works with my schedule. Like if I do the most important things first, I get everything done. As soon as I rearrange the order, I don't get everything done. So it's important you put the rocks in first. This is, again, a screenshot from my phone of my priorities. And they switch orders, but right now, I put myself first, so my personal tasks that I have to do, and then my wife, Ashley, and then my family. And then right now it's my research, and then my businesses, and then school and calling after that. A week ago, school was ahead of family because it was project season. 2 weeks ago, business was ahead of school or behind school. and so on and so forth. So they rearrange. I have to rearrange them often, and that's good practice to learn how to sacrifice what needs to go right now. 2 thumbs up for you understand. Fantastic. Good. And again, write down questions. I know I'm going like super fast, so write down questions and text me when you can. Okay, so in the final part of the create step, solving these problems like a rocket scientist, is we want to organize. Okay, so here's how I organize. So what's really going on here is, as a rocket scientist, when you're solving a problem, you're using other people's ideas, models, and experiences to mesh them together to form your own experience. Okay, so what I've done is the same. I've taken other people's models, ideas, experiences, and meshed it into this organization. So I prioritize by letters and numbers. So what that looks like, and I'll show you an example, but what that looks like is things that need to be done today are labeled A. Things that need to be done tomorrow labeled B. And things that need to be done in a while labeled C, and so on. And then within each letter, I have numbers to say what order I'm going to do those things in. So my very first thing I do in a day is A1. And then maybe something due tomorrow, B1 or B2, and then so on and so forth. I found that planning by a schedule is less efficient, and it falls apart easily. So if I say I'm going to do research from 9 to 4 every day, things pop up, and I don't get things done, and I end up being less efficient. In fact, I was just talking to my friend. He works in corporate. He's a accountant, and he told me that he genuinely works 25 hours a week out of the 40-hour work week. And he said, yeah, most of the time I'm just prolonging the work so that I can fill my 40 hours. He said if he really had to work, he could just work 25 hours a week. But he just wants to fill the time. That's not efficient. We want to be task-oriented. And task-oriented is flexible, and it helps us to accomplish what we actually want to. Thumbs up if you don't understand. Good. Again, here are some screenshots from my phone. So you see I have some scheduled events. This is today. So I have my wife's work shift on there, the swing shift, and then this Kokoro Zoom discussion. But then I have tasks. So I have my A1 task. That's my personal routine. I have then another A1 task, and that's just a reminder to take the trash out. A2, A3, B1, C1, C2, C3. So you can see how I've organized all my tasks by letter and number. And again, A's have to be done today. B's have to be done maybe tomorrow. And then C's are just done within the week or so, next week or so. You'll notice in my personal routine that all of these things are daily steps to accomplish goals that I want. So, for example, daily planning leads to my emotional goals. And it's a brick in my pyramid of goals to lead to that emotional goal. And then I have spiritual goals that are bricks to lead to my spiritual goals. I have visualizing, which is leading up to my emotional goals. I have exercising to my physical goals, budgets to my financial goals. And then my Ashley routine is my wife, and that's to my relationship goals. So you can see you want to break your day down into things that actually work toward your goals. If you're doing something that leads to nowhere, maybe take it out. If it's not doing anything for you, maybe you don't have to do it. Maybe if it's not leading toward your goal. In the first hour and a half of my day, I've already set the foundation toward 5 of my goals. And that's something you want to do. You want to make it so that you're consistent and organized in planning your day. You would take advantage of those laws for creating. Okay, that's creation. So we've comprehended, we've created some solutions. Now we need to commit. What is committing? Hernando Cortez was a conquistador, and he went and conquered the Aztecs, and he got to the Americas with the plan to conquer the Aztecs because they had a bunch of gold and things like that. And he gets there with 300 men. The Aztecs were about 30,000 people right now. And his men came to Hernando Cortez and they said, so there's only 300 of us. I don't know if we can take the 30,000 that we're about to fight. Hernando Cortez says, oh, good point. Well, let's just burn our own boats then. The men looked confused and said, wait, what? He says, yeah, burn our own boats. So he took a torch and he set their own boats on fire. Then he said, looks like if we're going to go home, it has to be in their boats. Hernando Cortez understood the power of commitment, where you want to make success the only option. Make it so that you have to go home in their boats. What does this look like in your schedule? Try and set reminders. Try and be stubborn about sleep time, about bedtime, about keeping a schedule, about keeping your priorities, about not giving in to wins and things like that. Make it so that success is the only option. Burn your boats that are making so you can't keep your schedule. And with that, I believe I'm at the 15 minutes. Is that correct?
I wasn't keeping track.
Nice.
You
Well,
did
that's it.
awesome.
So,
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. That was awesome.